I think we've got folks trickling in, and I'm very, very excited to get started here. Looks like we've got some folks already in the chat, but yeah, I'm Paul. I'm one of the co-founders over here at Corso. I head up the growth and go-to-market efforts over here, and we're super, super excited for this webinar that we've got today on how to create a stellar post-purchase experience, and how that post-purchase experience will help benefit your retention. But yeah, let's that panel. Let's just go ahead and we'll do a little bit of small talk while we're waiting for some folks to jump in. Irene, Nate, Emerson, I'm gonna pepper you with a couple of questions, but I'm gonna start with Nate. Nate, and just for the group, the question I'm gonna ask is there a brand that you're just super excited about buying things from them and just a raving fan? Well, not the top of your head, Nate.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind right now is a brand called Experiment. They make a line of science-backed skincare products. I think I have all of their current products. I use at least 2 of them daily. They're amazing. I think one thing that's really impressive about them, the branding is fun, the products are excellent from more of like a marketing standpoint, which I think we should probably talk about. I think the way that they scale their business entirely D2C so far has been really impressive. Built a really strong community that like sells out their product and really enjoys their product and is like a genuine fan of the brand and the product, which I think is just really impressive.
That's awesome. Where are they based?
They're based in New York.
Nice, of course. Good spot to be.
It's a great spot.
That's awesome. That's cool. We have to check them out.
Yeah, it's good.
Irene, what brand are you excited about these days?
Yeah, it's actually a brand that we currently serve. The name of the company is Pura, Pura Sense. So if you don't know about them, they're like these small devices that you plug into the wall. You can control them from your phone. And what's really cool is you can pick from like 1,100 different scents. So you can control like the vibe of your house, whether it be in the living room or your bedroom, and you prefer different scents. What I like about them is they're coming out with new products. They're based out of Salt Lake City, and the new products are super exciting. But I also like switch my scents as I get closer to different like holidays and seasons. So, I'm usually stalking their website looking for what's new coming out that can change the vibe of the house. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. My wife is a huge fan of yours, so that's super, super cool. We've got a couple all throughout the house, and their product's great. It's a very,
it's really good.
Yes,
really good.
It changes the whole kind of vibe of your home, which we're huge fans. So that's awesome.
I have a scent that I purchased for the holiday season, and everybody thinks I'm baking cookies, and it's not. It's just a little disappointing, but it's just the scent. Yeah.
I was gonna say I would be very if I came into the home and I could just it smelled like cookies, but there wasn't the end result. I think it'd be bummed, but also I get that.
Yeah.
All right, Emerson, I gotta hear yours. What product are you excited about these days? What brand?
All right, there's this brand called Modal. I just got connected with a little bit ago, MODL Outdoor, and it's a very simple product. I love something basic that's gonna like change your life, and it's just these little it's kind of like a bungee cord, but it's like for attaching stuff to like your backpack or like your lights on your trailer, kind of stuff like that. And just like something that seems so simple that's gonna change my life. So I just ordered some, super stoked. Because who knows, I don't have any particular I'm trying to bungee cord together, but I feel like when I need a bungee cord, that's what I need. So I'm stoked to check it out. They got some cool use cases and some awesome promo videos and things like that. So stoked to kind of put it in practice on my own.
That's huge. That's awesome. Let's take a look at the attendees. I think we've got some more rolling in. I think we should kick this thing off. I think we're ready to go.
Let's do it.
So I guess I'll kind of start with some housekeeping items just to get started. Obviously, you can see we're using this platform called Riverside. You all can leverage the chat functionality. So over on that right-hand side on your browser, you should be able to see the chat. Feel free to engage in there, ask questions. anything at all that would be beneficial for us as a group. I'll see if I can hop into the questions in the chat and be able to ask the presenters the questions if you have them as they come through. Also, we're going to be recording this, as you can tell. So we'll be able to circulate this out to you after the webinar via email, and we'll also post it up on YouTube and all the video spots so that you all can access this. But yeah, I'll go through. Let's do a little bit of introductions. Let's start with Emerson. Go ahead and give us a little bit of an intro, and yeah, we can get started there.
Yeah, so Emerson Hammer, I'm the VP of Partnerships over here at Corso. Love connecting with brands. My background is e-commerce, primarily e-commerce supply chain. So love anything shipping related, anything talking about warehouses, anything about a box. I love talking about shipping boxes. So everything that most e-commerce people don't think about, I love thinking about, and the stuff that most people don't want to do in e-commerce, I love doing. So I think it's a really fun, interesting industry of just e-commerce supply chain as a whole. And what do I do here at Corso of meeting great partners and brands to really streamline that e-commerce experience. And excited to dive into it today, focusing on the health and wellness and beauty cosmetic brands and how we can streamline some of those processes and make it a great customer experience and reduce some of those headaches that we all feel operationally dealing with the post-purchase experience for customers. So excited to chat more about that today.
Awesome. And I can attest to what Emerson is saying. He definitely loves boxes and anything supply chain. So he's our go-to guru over here at Corso. But appreciate that, Emerson. Nate, you're up next.
Sure. So I'm Nate. I work at Levitate Foundry. I help run partnerships. Levitate specializes in launching and scaling consumer brands. So our expertise spans from media buying, performance creative, email marketing, retention, affiliate marketing, landing pages, CRO, full service marketing agency. We work with a lot of beauty, wellness, apparel, accessory brands like Makeup by Mario and Anita Co. We've worked with over 300 different brands, see some significant growth rates, and really excited to be here. And my background's all in CPG, e-com, consumer. Love to nerd out on this stuff too. I'll talk, Emerson, I'll talk to you about boxes whenever you want.
I do. Next,
I'll talk to you about
next
snacks.
webinar
That's
is
my thing.
There we go.
Let's do it.
I've been a long time follower of Nate on Twitter, and he definitely knows his snacks and the up and coming brands as they're coming through on the CPG side. So I'll give Nate's Twitter a plug here, but it's an interesting follow for sure. And without further ado, Irene, I'd love to get a little intro from you.
Sure. Irene Sharmak, I'm the CEO of QuickBox. We're a third-party fulfillment provider. We do focus very similarly on the health, wellness, beauty, and CPG space. So I'm really excited to be in this conversation. I've spent most of my career on the operations side, so I really understand, what it takes to best serve the brands in order so that they can, get the best lifetime value from their clients or their consumers on their end, and also have better retention. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. We're excited to have him. We've been working closely with Corso, the team at Corso with QuickBox, and their team's fantastic. So very excited to have you. And we appreciate you participating. But again, my name's Paul. I'm the co-founder. I'll be the moderator here. I started my career in third-party logistics, pick, pack, and ship, driving a forklift and helping brands really scale. And I've had a couple of different brands myself. Outdoor guy, surfboard brand down in Orange County, and super excited to be here and be able to hang and talk post-purchase and retention. So let's get into it. Emerson, I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to you, and we'll go ahead and get into the presentation.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Well, I'm going to first start off kind of addressing specifically the beauty, cosmetic, health, wellness industries and kind of highlighting the most painful thing. You went through this whole stress of getting a customer. So I'm not going to focus too much on the acquisition part of a customer. Once that customer, you acquired them, they purchased it, they're excited for your product. And as we're kind of highlighting through this GIF, is something that happens in transit where that shipment being delivered did not meet that customer's expectations. It's like the biggest, like, the sink in your heart when you feel that, when you see that and you get an email from a customer after you spent all that marketing dollars getting the customer and there's a negative experience as the customer receives it. And as much as we want to say, hey, this is like a one-off thing, as brands that you've been in business for any certain time and you start shipping some volume, you're gonna see something like this eventually, and you're gonna see it unfortunately quite frequently. There's a data point out there from a DHL that says 1 in 20 online orders will have some issue during transit. So it's a decent amount. It's a percentage. I mean, 1 out of 20. It's not nothing. So that can, when they're referring to that, it could be anything from like a package lost in transit, damaged in transit. They try to make a delivery for whatever reason they can't deliver the package. There's so many things that can happen in transit, and they're all outside of the control of the brand. And there's a lot of things that can happen either through the carrier process, through the product itself in the manufacturing process. And so we're going to kind of touch on that today as a whole of meeting customers' expectations and then how we can turn those customers into loyal customers and raving reviews. So first, I'm going to kind of focus on some of these pain points and understanding maybe some of these things that happen in transit that your customers are expecting a great delivery experience. What are some of those things that maybe are affecting that? So when we see that specifically in the beauty, wellness, cosmetic industries, is what about packages getting lost in transit? So that isn't just going to happen. Some brands kind of factor that in as cost of doing business. What are some of the things that we can help to reduce the amount of packages that are getting lost in transit? First off, kind of understanding maybe some of the reasons as to why that happens. Typically in these industries, you're shipping small, lightweight products. And so that just kind of makes it as a smaller, lightweight product, stuff can happen throughout in transit. That's just going to be the cost of the process of that shipment going through the postal service. I love shipping. I think it's a really interesting like process of business. I've toured dozens of FedEx, UPS, USPS facilities and just seeing how those packages just get moved. There's hundreds of thousands, millions of packages a day going through these facilities, and they're sorting them super quick. Things are happening to it. Small, lightweight packages, stuff can happen to it just because they're smaller. It's not going to see it. It's like it's noticeable. Other thing too is when you're usually doing it, you're using it in like a poly mailer typically. So you might see something that you're a poly mailer, and if you're not getting those labels on there perfectly, I see a lot of in-house fulfillment centers. They're trying to get as many orders out as they can. It's usually get a surge during Q4, and maybe those labels aren't adhered properly to the package, and so they kind of lift a little bit. And then as those packages are rubbing against each other, those labels can get rubbed, and you're going to smear that package label. It's going to get torn off, and you can't get the scans right. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen in those situations. Kind of more of the common situations. There's also you're typically using a shared ship method for small packages like this. So you might be using like a UPS SurePost, maybe some regional carriers in the mix, where there's packages getting a handoff. So UPS picks up the package and gives it to USPS for final mile delivery. And there can be some miscommunication or some issues during handoff in that period that can cause these packages to get lost in transit. So those are maybe some of the reasons as to why you maybe are experiencing some of those things, and maybe some ways to kind of look at some preventative measures around that. Other thing you might be seeing as you're kind of seeing this GIF is sometimes packages are going to get damaged in transit. Part of it is just due to poor packaging. You're seeing here is most likely with this makeup is that it's a change in temperature. So you're having it shipped from your warehouse. They're getting into these box trucks that are really ridiculously hot in the back of them. If you guys saw the UPS report on what they were negotiating this past last year on their negotiation contracts, was they wanted AC in their cars and things like that because those box cars can get really hot. So if you have makeup or something like that, and the change in temperature is going to change the composition of your product. That can see most likely what we're seeing here as well. So you're going to see situations like that that might cause for a negative customer experience. So I want to highlight though, is when you have these issues, there has to be a process. Like as much as we want to prevent stuff like this from happening 100%, but we also want to be able to have processes in place when this does happen. How can we resolve this? How can we do it quickly and efficiently? So it's not every single time something like this happens, you're having to go to management and get either authorization to take care of this customer a certain way, or you're trying to think of a unique situation or a unique process to resolve this. You want to have a great working system to resolve these things. That's what we're going to go into the next slide. Is in this process is you're using your entire tech stack really to provide an amazing customer experience for that. So what we'll see a lot in this situation is you're most likely dealing in the health and beauty Industries are doing a lot with subscription-based models, so making sure you have good processes with your subscription-based um, uh, platform that you're using. You're providing information to your customers in various different ways. So really what we want to do is have an integrated tech stack as a whole that talks to each other, that you can identify when something wrong is happening, either through some type of like order tracking provider, send out tracking notifications to make sure you're giving customers some information on when to expect the package from being delivered, so you're not having to sit on their doorstep for a couple of days. The package gets hot, ruins the composition of the product or whatever it is. You want to notify the customer of where that package is at in transit. You want to be able to let the customer know how to make quick, easy repeat purchases as well. So it's really having your whole tech stack work together though, and not being siloed. What you don't want is having one of your tech providers send out tracking notifications, then you're sending out maybe a review request before the customer actually gets the product, or sending it out something like that. That can kind of damage that relationship. There is make sure all of your tech stack is working cohesively together to provide that great customer experience. And then when something does happen to your package, you have a great solution to streamline that. So the next I will kind of highlight is there's a lot of stuff in our control and some things that are out of our control. And so one of the solutions we see out there is package protection. So kind of highlighting that is some of the things that go wrong in shipping. We talked about like lost packages, damaged shipments, stolen orders. Port piracy, unfortunately, is a thing and becoming more common. Sometimes customers get their package, it says delivered on their tracking, but it's not actually there. How you can resolve these issues. The customer gets a package delivered to the wrong address. I've had that happen a handful of times. The customer inputs the incorrect address. They fat finger it. They're trying to do it really quick, and they enter the wrong address, gets delivered to the wrong customer. For whatever reason, the carrier has issues delivering it, gets returned to sender. For whatever reason, the warehouse fulfills the order, and then for whatever reason, the carrier doesn't scan it into their system, so they have a label generated, but it's not actually moving in transit, or it's not getting delivered on time. Those are all things that we all that your customers are most likely being affected at in one way or the other. What package protection allows you to do is have an option at checkout for a customer to be protected against any of these issues. It reduces the brand's overhead and CX result in that. Instead of doing costly processes of emailing the customer back and forth, trying to get more clarity on that, or trying to see who's going to pay for this issue that happened, who was at fault for this issue. Package protection covers all those situations. So of course, those are a great fit for brands that are trying to, especially ramp up for Q4, getting ready for the holiday season. You're looking to streamline your processes, give a customer experience, and enhance that process. Package protection allows you to provide a great customer experience for your customers, reduce your CX overhead on that and workload to give quick, fast, easy solutions to your customers as a whole. So these are pain points that brands are working with. Of course, I'd love to chat with you guys and kind of highlight how we solve for these pain points that brands are working with and how we can streamline that for you and your customers. Now let's highlight real quick in the next two slides are some of the other pain points that brands are trying to help increase the retention of their customers. Is first off is the return process. The health and beauty wellness area as a whole has a unique process for returns. It's a semi-decent return ratio. I mean, anywhere around 10 to 11% is the industry standard. So if you're in that industry, kind of use that as a benchmark. Are you guys around that 11%-ish? If you're a bit higher or lower than that, kudos. If you're below that. If you're above that, let's see what you can do to kind of decrease that return ratio and kind of understand why customers might be returning that package in the first place. And kind of highlighting some of those things as why customers in general are returning. You want to get that data to reduce that return rate as a whole. So just kind of want to put out that benchmark for brands to kind of put that as a tier to kind of look after, to just kind of strive for. And the last thing I'll do is, as I wrap up, is understanding those common reasons customers are returning in this industry. Is typically you're on a subscription type model. So the customer either is getting at too high of a frequency, if it's some type of makeup and they're on a 30-day sequence, but maybe they need it every 45, 60 days. That could lead to cancellation. So kind of looking to understand why that might be happening on that product usage. The other thing is either the product didn't meet the customer's expectations. Maybe if it's a type of makeup, the color matching wasn't just right, or the scent of the product wasn't as expected, or the product taste, if it's a supplement or something like that, wasn't as they expected. And the other thing too is looking at how are you going to manage these returns though as a whole. A lot of stuff in the cosmetic industry is like, hey, if this has been used, we really want that customer to ship it back to us. Do we still refund them though, even though we're not shipping it back to ourselves? How do you want to manage those situations? So there's a lot of one-off things like that looking at as well as like, hey, if the customer is trying to return this item or is having an issue with it, do we need to collect that lot number, that batch number, to see if that product is expiring, or maybe see how that use case worked for that customer. You want to be able to collect as much of this data as possible and then streamline those processes as a whole. So part of the Corso platform as well is we have an automated returns exchange platform that really streamlines that process, specifically in the health, wellness, and beauty and cosmetic brands. That we have a lot of experience working with these types of brands to get you to be at the industry standard and really kind of exceed and excel. And so you're following best practices to send the right product back to the warehouse when it makes sense. Maybe letting the customer keep it where it makes sense. When are you losing money, making money on these returns? And then if it is someone having just an issue, I order the wrong color swatch, make that super easy for the customer to get the right product they originally were looking for. So you're not leaving money on the table or creating a bad taste in the mouth of the customer. So I know I talk fast. There's a lot. I get passionate about this stuff. I think it's super fun, and I'm excited for Irene and Nate to kind of dive more into more ways that you can increase that retention effort. But as a whole, is just having great processes. Once the customer receives it, if expectations are not met for whatever reason, use a great platform and have great processes documented that you can follow to quickly resolve that. The last thing you want to do is a customer had a negative experience and then you have a long delay to get a resolution to them. Use tech, use providers, use processes and procedures that can give quick resolutions to increase the customer satisfaction, to drive revenue and retention with those customers.
That's awesome. Definitely Emerson is one of the most passionate as it comes to this particular aspect of ecom. So I definitely think you should add him on LinkedIn, shoot him a DM, ask him any questions. He's a solutions guy. So if you come with him or come to him with a problem, he's going to try to find a solution for you, which I think is awesome. I think just a piggyback on it, as a consumer, on the consumer side, when something goes wrong in transit and you just want your stuff, right? And you want to be able to get the quickest resolution as you can. And so I think it's very, very key to make sure that these systems communicate seamlessly so that you as a brand can be able to provide that customer who's frustrated, doesn't know what's going on, just a quick resolution so they can be able to get their product as quickly as possible. So great overview, Emerson, and we appreciate it, man. Transitioning over, Nate. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the share on my side and allow you to share. But super excited to talk to Nate again. I've been a Twitter follower for a minute, and he has a lot of background in this particular space, so excited to learn a little bit more.
Awesome. I am going to figure out how to share my screen. I know how. Okay, here we go. I appreciate the Twitter follow too. Alrighty. I need to... Sorry about that. All right, can we see my screen?
Everything's looking good. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, hi everyone. I'm going to talk about loyalty programs. I think it's something that's really important, especially in beauty and wellness, and I'll dive into that a little bit more. I think from a post-purchase experience too, it's really great at improving retention. So let's... There we go. Awesome. All right. So why focus on loyalty and customer retention? So in today's highly competitive and price sensitive market, it's becoming increasingly difficult and expensive to acquire new customers. Customer acquisition costs are higher than ever. And I saw one estimate that it's indicating that it's 25 to 40% increase, compared to years past, obviously depending on the channel. But fortunately, beauty, skincare, wellness buyers tend to be more loyal once they find something that they like. And I think it presents an interesting and valuable opportunity to focus on your existing customers for a low cost revenue. An interesting stat that I found is that Ulta Beauty, who has a very prominent loyalty platform and loyalty program, drove 95% of its sales through loyalty members, just underscoring the importance of a well-crafted loyalty program. I think by focusing on loyalty and customer retention, you can not only save on acquisition costs, but also build a strong, loyal customer base that will just contribute to your long-term growth. So creating a memorable post-purchase experience is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. In building lasting relationships with your customers, you need this. Loyalty programs, when executed correctly, are really powerful tools that I think can encourage repeat purchases and foster brand advocates, as exemplified by that Ulta Beauty stat. Loyalty programs also encourage customers to keep coming back, sometimes providing tangible rewards for their continued support of the brand. It's not only boosting customer retention, but it also helps build a community of loyal brand activists and advocates that you can utilize in other aspects of the business from a marketing standpoint, from the creme de la creme word of mouth, which everybody wants. I think it's a really valuable thing. So let's talk about different types of loyalty programs. So there's a lot. Loyalty programs come in a ton of various forms, each designed to meet different customer needs and preferences. But here are sort of the main types that we've seen and have implemented on Levitate's side, and that are just being used generally across the space. So point-based systems. These are relatively simple and straightforward. Most of your basic loyalty platforms will be offering this. So for every dollar spent, you get a point earned. And if you accumulate a certain amount, you get a certain discount on your next purchase. Very simple, very straightforward, really encourages repeat purchases and builds some sense of achievement. Tiered programs, also a very popular one. So these programs reward customers based off their spending levels. So with higher tiers offering more exclusive benefits. For instance, there might be like a bronze, silver, gold, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And sometimes they have very clever names for them as well, which also sort of plays to that community aspect, which I think is another side of loyalty platforms that's really key. And they offer interesting perks such as like early access to sales, exclusive products, special discounts. Maybe if it's a celebrity-owned brand, they get a cameo from that celebrity. The next three, so subscription models. So I don't know if everybody would necessarily consider subscription a loyalty program, but at the end of the day, it is kind of a loyalty program because you can add things to that subscriber's account. So I think subscriptions are especially popular in beauty, especially because it's replenishable product. I subscribe to that brand that we were talking about earlier, Experiment. They have a refill system, so I buy that refill every month. So with this, it allows customers to pay some recurring fee to receive regular shipments of products. I think subscription models, you will also see that in beauty boxes and box subscriptions. It can also offer additional perks as well. There's value-added programs. So instead of discounts, these programs will offer additional services to enhance the product's values. So, for example, it might be unique services, or like, for example, like a wellness brand might offer free health coaching after a certain number of purchases, or a discount to the store, whatever it might be. Referral programs. So these programs encourage existing customers to refer new customers in exchange for some reward. Again, this is another very simple one, similar to the point-based system. But this one, just encourages more of that word of mouth and should theoretically reduce acquisition costs. So let's see this in practice. So Sephora's loyalty program, it's often dubbed the gold standard of loyalty programs, known as Beauty Insider, launched in 2007. It's been around for forever. They combine a couple different loyalty programs to create a compelling and effective customer retention strategy. So they have a point-based system, which you can see up top. Members can earn points for every dollar spent, which can then be redeemed for rewards. So again, dollar spent, point earned. And then they can accumulate these points in exchange for products, samples, or even exclusive experiences. They have a tiered program as well. So they have 3 different tiers: Beauty Insider, free to join, their VIB, which is their virtual or very important beauty insider. It's $350 a year, or if they've spent $350 a year, they get even more exclusive access, and they get access to their rewards bazaar, and then point multipliers as well. And then they have a higher tier for somebody spending over $1,000 a year at Sephora. They get even more exclusive access. Then they also have a value-added program. So they go beyond discounts to offer unique services and experiences such as like member-only events, exclusive access to new products, exclusive previews. One of the most popular perks, though, is their birthday gift option. So depending on the tier you're in, you get better and better sort of birthday gifts. So some of the key features of these loyalty programs that make them successful are personalization. So you can use data analytics to tailor the rewards to the individual person. This is happening a lot in just the actual consumer brands that implement these loyalty programs, but it's also very important in the loyalty program. Flexibility, customers don't really want to be locked into anything that ruins their experience either shopping or using the loyalty programs or loyalty rewards that they've worked so hard to get. They want to be able to use it online and offline. That's very important. And then exclusivity. They want to feel like they're really part of something special. And if they feel like they're part of something special, most likely to return. And there are numerous tools available that can help you create and manage effective loyalty programs. And these tools offer a range of features from basic, point systems to advanced data analytics and personalized customer experiences. These tools on the right here, these are some of the tools that we partner with at Levitate that we've implemented. We've used Loyalty Line's great, Yotpo has a good one, Toki, and Veterate's more of a membership program. Tapcart and Shopping Gives are two unique ones, I think. Tapcart enables you to make mobile apps for your brand. I see that as a loyalty program in a unique way, and you can obviously implement other loyalty programs throughout that. Shopping Gives allows you to, at checkout, provide an additional amount of money for charity of either your choice or the brand's choice. And again, that's just another side of loyalty. So there's a lot of options out there, and one of our jobs at Levitate is to help sort of organize and provide you some strategies to pick one of these loyalty programs or even build a custom. Sephora's and Ulta's are definitely custom loyalty programs. Thank you.
Nate, I've got a question for you. That
Let's
just
hear
popped
it.
into my mind. Nate starts a brand tomorrow. You got your CVG brand, a wellness brand that you're gonna launch. What is the type of loyalty program that Nate would roll out as kind of like a go-to, tried and true? And is there a platform that you're leaning towards out of the one that you out of the slide that you, and not to
Not to
influence that too much, you don't have to say, but I'm genuinely curious what type of program would you roll out?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously like a point-based system is going to be just the easiest to sort of implement day one. Pretty much any loyalty platform you're going to use is going to have that in there. I think I would do that on top of actually leveraging some sort of tool that has a community aspect to it, that encourages you to post, that encourages you to share your experience. I think Ripple Rewards has that community aspect to it that I think is really interesting, especially if you're talking about like a wellness product where people are, they want to share their opinions about how they feel using it, how they feel about sort of like what it's fixing. So those are sort of the two that I would start with. And Ripple, I think, is a really good one. There's also another one that I'm unfortunately blanking on the name of, but they sort of have this, if I remember it, we'll put it out there somewhere in the ether. They have this like Reddit style platform. So once you shop with them, you can sort of go in and field questions and talk to other members of the community around that brand, which I think is a really interesting way to engage with your customers, post purchase is to sort of, sometimes I don't want, I'll forget about points. I'll forget about discounts. It needs to be really seamless for me as a consumer. but I would want to talk to other people who've purchased that product, or who, if I buy a backpack, for example, like I want to talk to other people who also like backpacks, whether or not it's about the backpack we just bought or about some new ones. I want to be part of some community, some communication. And I think, if there's a way to encourage people to do that by giving them discounts, by giving them some exclusivity, I think that's a really powerful unlock, especially for beauty and wellness, where there's like such strong discourse about these different products.
Agreed. I will just say on the tap card too, to add to that, I think the interesting component about tap card is the push notifications, like being
Yes.
able to get that engagement. So obviously we all are on our phones all the time, and just being able to get that notification directly to your phone, as it pertains to a reorder or when it's time to re-up or something like that, I think is a big key, or a key component, a key feature that is really beneficial on these loyalty programs. So
Yeah, it's
and I
huge.
do, back in the day, I mean, it was like Facebook groups, right? And being able to engage about a particular product, and being able to have the brands do their own kind of brand owned Reddits, or communities where they can engage about that product, I think is a really killer thing I haven't heard of. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, that's cool. Nate, we really appreciate the info here. And again, I gotta give Nate a plug. Go follow him on LinkedIn, Twitter. Always delivering really great updates in this space, and is a really good resource to have for brands for sure. Well,
Thank you.
last but not least, and very excited for this, Irene, we're going to pass you the mic and the floor. I'm going to go ahead and share your slides and your presentation on my end, but excited to hear from Irene, CEO over at QuickBox. And this is a component, Irene, that I think, it's something that's a very vital piece to grants on the fulfillment side, and something that maybe is not as front and center as it should be. So I'm really excited to get into this component. As I mentioned, I've been in this kind of world, and so excited to get you take, Irene.
Yes, thank you very much. I too have a passion for shipping boxes, Emerson. So, this is my world.
We can start a
Hopefully,
help group together, huh?
yes, that would be great. What I want to talk about today is how to leverage your third-party logistics partner on how that would best support your customer retention. I think there's some things that go on behind the scenes that, have an impact on your lifetime value or retaining your clients. And hopefully, through this process, you'll learn a little bit about what happens on the 3PL side that can better support your retention. So I want to talk a little bit about, and I'll go into a slide specific to each one of these, but value-added services and the unboxing experience. We'll talk about the returns process, which you just actually articulated, and how that could be a pain point there. And then how do we manage just the omni-channel piece of it, or multi-channel? So that would be shipping into, whether it be Amazon, a wholesaler, a retailer. So your 3PL could better support that, because we want to meet your clients on your consumers on their journey as well, wherever they tend to be shopping. So with that, we'll go to the next slide. So did you know that 84% of consumers are unlikely to shop with a brand again after a poor delivery experience? And I know this as being a consumer myself, and I will benchmark, my consumer behaviors one against another. And so when I am buying something, I look at, like, how easy was it for me to get my package? Was it right? Was it damaged? How was it packaged? What was that unboxing experience like? And then we'll talk about this on the next slide, but what was the return experience like? Because that, especially if you're buying beauty products or apparel, the return ratios are pretty high. So just talking about unboxing it, we want to be able to package that outbound order that's going to the consumer's home in a manner in which they actually feel important. They get a good experience out of it. So what does the branding look like? What messaging is inside the box that's actually going to help for lifetime value and maybe increase your average order value on the next order? So we could put custom inserts in there. We just partnered with a company that does handwritten notes. And so that could potentially help. But at the end of the day, if we don't get that package there fast and accurate and not damaged, right? That is the first point of a consumer being thrilled in their process and their journey of buying it. And then from there, we can support the messaging. We also look at things like, how environmentally savvy are we? So are we packaging it with something that is recyclable? Is it the appropriate size box and it's not overboxed? So we're not shipping a lipstick in this massive container where somebody feels that we weren't being, judicious in our process to shift that and make sure that we are actually, supporting environmental initiatives. So with that said, we'll go to the next slide. So talking about returns, so 92% of consumers claim to be willing to buy again from a channel that offers easy returns. And whereas 79 expect free shipping on that return process. So I mentioned my journey earlier, and when I'm a consumer, I look at how easy the return process is for one beauty brand over another. And if it actually plays into where there's a big differentiator, I will pick the one that's easier for me to return, where I don't actually have to go out of my way to return something. I don't have to order a label and pay for it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the returns process. So if a customer or a consumer is going to make a return, how easy is that process for them? Once that return is initiated, then how quickly are they actually getting their credit given back to them? So the quicker that we can process the return when it comes back to your 3PL, the quicker they actually get their credit back, which makes them feel then confident in the return process. We do other things like, how we do other things like track reason codes. So we could be able to provide the brand information back as to why was that return initiated, and then they can look at trends to assess how do they mitigate those returns from happening again in the future. We do other things behind the scenes that would help the brand, as well as looking at the lot codes, expiration date, so on and so forth, that would actually better support the brand in being able to resell that return when it does come back. We can go to the next slide. We talked a little bit about scaling into omni-channel. So 23% of retail purchases are expected to take place online by 2027. So as a 3PL, or looking at your 3PL, we pretty much focus very much on the same, which is, did we get it there on time? And was it accurate? Because if you don't get it right going into a retailer shelf, there's also compliance chargebacks that happen after that. And even worse yet, you could actually lose your sales, your shelf space at the retailer. So we want to make sure that we get it right. I know that predominantly I can be an online consumer and ordering online, but there are times where I've run out of something, or I happen to be in the retail store, and being able to buy it there on the shelf is also important to me. So your 3PL should be able to support you, not just shipping to consumer, but also whatever other channels you happen to be selling in. And finally, we'll go to the last slide. I think this all comes together with setting expectations with your third-party logistics provider. They need to really understand where you're at on your journey. A 3PL should be able to coach and guide you as you enter maybe the retail space, to tell you what to look out for. Where are you going to see your greatest cost increase? What chargebacks could you incur? How do you look for exceptions in that chargeback system? So really setting expectations and really getting the 3PL to understand where you're at in your journey. Then the 3PL should also offer you tracking and visibility. We're a huge proponent of being super transparent. So when you log into our system, you can tell real time where you're at, what status that order is in, how much inventory do you have either by site or in total. And it allows you the opportunity to have a pulse on the operation without being in the operation. So you could say, did my orders drop by 2 and did they ship same day? The answer is yes, right? Or hopefully yes. If not, then you can talk to us as to the why. But the tracking and visibility is super important to us. We thought when we launched these tools to give full visibility to what's going on in the business, that it would actually spark more questions, and it actually went the other direction because people were able to self-serve and see where we're at in the process for their orders. And then last but not least, and probably the most important piece, is just build a relationship built on trust. So, we're a huge proponent of having a client services manager connect with the brands on a regular cadence, so we understand where they're going, what's important to them, what's new, what's on the horizon, and how do we best serve that. So all of this plays into getting the product where it needs to be accurately as fast as possible. And then hopefully that improves retention and lifetime value. That's it.
That's awesome. That was fantastic. I have a question. So obviously there are going to be some beauty brands and some wellness brands that are in that influx of growth, right? And what is one thing that you would suggest, or like at what point should a brand consider 3PL? And what types of brands would you suggest that you would take on, like QuickBooks, Irene?
So I'll start with your first question. There are 3PLs out there that have different ICPs. So that means ideal client profile. And I know of 3PLs out there that love to, start with a brand on their journey when they have 0 orders or maybe 50 orders a day. So I would find the right 3PL partner for where you're at in your journey. There are a lot of brands that might start doing it out of their garage, and when they scale to maybe 100 orders a day, then they would look at putting it with a third-party logistics provider. So I would start there, but have those transparent conversations with your 3PLs so they understand, like I said, where you're at on your journey. If you're at 100 orders today, but you can see your growth trajectory and you have a business plan that's going to get you to 300 or 500 orders a day, you should tell the 3PL that so that they understand, that this is something that's in your growth plans and it's something that's not a scope for them. For example, if there's a 3PL out there that typically services 50 orders a day and you plan on getting to 500, it might not be the right 3PL for you. And then you had a second question about brands that we typically would serve. Health, wellness, beauty are all really the majority of what we do. One of the competitive advantages that we have is really our shipping. So first of all, our geography and our locations, and then the shipping solutions that we put together for the brands to help them reach the the consumers in the lowest amount of time to home with the least amount of cost. So we put together these really cool dynamic solutions that allow the brands to really turn the dial on what's most important to them. Is it cost or time to home or both? And we basically look at the carrier mix and select the carrier that performs best in that specific zip code. So we're going all the way down to the zip code level to say, here's how we turn the dial and save you money by leveraging the carriers who are super strong in certain like zones or zip codes. And I think for us that we love solving problems. It's why I'm actually not at a larger 3PL like I used to be, is because I wanted the autonomy and the latitude to be able to put together pretty cool solutions with our technology and our people and really customize a solution for the brands. Yeah.
I mean, that's great context. I think obviously brands, they always reach that inflection point. They want to know, hey, when's the time to make the jump to the 3PL? What are things I should look for in a good 3PL? And I think you nailed it. And I always want to suggest brands to take that jump to the 3PL side when it makes sense, because it does alleviate a lot of pain. And our Rings team, they're the pros, and they definitely can help brands to scale in that regard as it pertains to getting orders out the door. But yeah, I just want to say this has been fantastic. We really appreciate the time, and we will be obviously uploading this recording to the different platforms, and ultimately be able to send out copies. Go and follow these folks on LinkedIn for all the respective areas, to be able to follow along as they build and get some resources. And if you have any additional questions too, feel free to reach out to us on through the DM on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we can be able to help out. But yeah, again, my name is Paul, one of the co-founders at Corso, and we really appreciate the time today on this webinar series. And we hope you all have a great rest of the day and can end the month strong.
Thank you for the invite, Emerson and Paul. Appreciate it.
That was
Nate,
great.
nice
Yeah, this is
meeting you.
great.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone stay on just